Hey everyone! Welcome back to another episode of the Kindness Code. I'm Adorlee, your host, and today we're diving into a super important topic: how to make sure everyone feels like they belong, whether it's at school, work, or anywhere else. I'm really excited to introduce today's guest, Raquel Arredondo. She is the Assistant Dean for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging at the University of Pennsylvania's Graduate School of Education. Wow! She spent her entire career helping people and organizations create more inclusive spaces, making sure diversity is not just something we talk about, but something we celebrate. Before joining Penn GSC, Raquel held leadership roles where she worked on building cultural competency and improving diversity in all kinds of settings. She's also a highly sought-after speaker, giving talks and workshops on things like inclusive leadership and navigating multicultural environments. We're incredibly lucky today to have her. So, today we'll be talking about why belonging matters, how we can all do our part to make sure people feel included, and maybe even get some tips on how to become inclusive leaders ourselves. Ms. Arredondo, welcome to the Kindness Code.
Thank you so much, Adorlee. I'm so excited to be here and to dive into all things DEI.
So, to start off, why did you get into diversity, equity, and inclusion? What are your initiatives now, and why did you get involved?
Sure. So why I got into this space really has everything to do with my experience growing up. So I am a first-generation Cuban American. And so what that means is from my family, I was the first person to be born in the United States from Cuba, from where my family's from. And so, like many people, many immigrants in this country, when you're new to this country, there are different things that you just don't know because you don't have family that's already been here, different things, processes and, just about the culture and different things that you kind of have to learn on your own. And so when I was going through school and college and my first job, a lot of things that my friends or my peers may have known because their families have been here for so long and they were natural, I kind of had to figure that out on my own. And like a lot of immigrants, they had to figure things out on their own. So when I decided to work in higher education, I started to really gravitate towards wanting to help students who didn't have those supports at home, or also the first time going away to college. And I started to realize that there were a lot of things that within our system that we kind of take for granted around what's normal or what's expected. And so I started working in student affairs. And my work there was really about supporting all of the diverse students that were part of the institution. And then as I kind of continued growing in my career, I started to realize that, not just in school, but in careers in the workplace, there are a lot of opportunities for individuals to do more to help support people from different backgrounds. So in educating people about what different cultures, cultural practices are, what different experiences. That diversity can mean so many things. A lot of people tend to think that it's just about what you look like, but diversity can be the way that you think, the way, where you live, where you go to school, all of your different experiences. And so I learned, and what I try to do in my job now is to share with people, give them a different way to look at diversity, to really give them an opportunity to see it as we're built up. We are so much more than what we just look like. And it's, what we bring to the table, what we contribute to our friend group, to society, and to work. And if we really want to create communities of belonging, then we pay special attention to how unique each individual is. and we try not to put them in categories or boxes and say, well, you're Latina, so that means you have to eat tacos all the time. And that's not true, right? So, what the work that I do is trying to expand people's knowledge around, what diversity means and just how complex that is. And then also to help people celebrate those differences, because, it's kind of like, how fun would it be if you had well, let me ask you, what's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Chocolate.
So chocolate is mine too. And if I had to eat chocolate ice cream every day for the rest of my life, at some point it's going to become disgusting, right? At some point it's too much. And so just like with life, it's so important for us to be around different people and, and to really embrace everyone's differences, because that's what makes this world so much more interesting, when we really celebrate everyone's diversity. So that's the kind of work that I try to do now, is to just really educate people, but then also help them celebrate who they are.
Yeah, I get how, like, if everybody is the same, then, like,
How boring would that be?
That would be so boring.
I know.
Like, if
like when
everybody
you looked the same, talked the same, wanted to have the same jobs, wanted to have the same car, the same house, that's that would be pretty boring.
Yeah, there's like no uniqueness
Mm-hmm.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, what's one thing we can all do, no matter how small, to make our classrooms or workplaces feel more welcoming?
So I think that it's important to recognize that all of us have that power to make somebody else feel great. And, what I try to do here at Penn GSE is, when I see people, I really want to stop and, make them feel like I really do care. How's your day going? Or if somebody's wearing something really cool, I'll point out, my gosh, I love that, that bracelet or something like that. For me, the one thing that most people can do is to just really try to connect with other people and not look at them as just on the surface, who they are. I have a lot of respect for people with, big titles and high power jobs. But when I talk to these people, I want to know, what's your favorite food? And what's the last movie that you went to see? Where do you love to travel? I like to know those parts about people, and not so much about their roles and their careers, because when you get to know someone at the core, what they like, what they don't like, what makes them smile, what makes them cry, that's when you really start to create belonging, that you really see people and you show them that, I really care about who you are and not just what you are or what you represent to me.
So, for me, I would like, notice everyone, say hi to everyone,
mm-hmm.
and then be nice to everyone.
Yeah. Oh, I like this. I like that. Yes. So I have two sons, and they know that whenever we go to the store, that I will always talk to the people that work at the store and ask them how their day is, and, just smile at them, because, it's those small things that we can do, that kindness, that's what really makes a difference, to not just look at somebody as, oh, this is the cashier at the store. No, this is somebody's mom or sister, or, maybe she's having a bad day, and how can I help this person feel better about themselves? And all it really takes is a smile, and, to let someone know that, you care about them.
So, speaking of how you're expressing how, like, you care about somebody, what do you think is a moment where you saw caring about somebody, like, completely change the vibe of, like, a room or situation, or even, like, someone's life?
When I stop caring about somebody, or can you explain that?
When you saw, like, empathy or like caring about
Oh,
somebody completely change the vibe?
yeah. So early in my career, I used to train people on on customer service, on how to be better representatives of the company when talking with customers. And, they would say to me, well, this person's angry and they're yelling at me and, they're being mean and I'm not going to take that. And so what I always tried to share is that, in we have two choices. Are you familiar with what a thermostat does?
Yeah.
Do you have okay, so a thermostat regulates the temperature in your house, right? So you say, I want it to be 70 degrees, you set it, and then it's 70 degrees in your house, hopefully. And then what does a thermometer do? It takes the temperature and it tells you what is there. So I tell people, when you have a moment in which people are angry or being reactive, you can choose to be a thermometer and respond to that anger equally, or you can be a thermostat and help calm things down and demonstrate to somebody that you care about them. And so, to me, one of the greatest things that I wouldn't say that I enjoy it, but I am always inspired when this happens, when somebody comes to me very upset about something, it's something that has happened to them, or maybe they're upset with me about something that I may have said. My greatest power is in remaining calm and demonstrating that I care about the other person's feelings. And I try not to take it too personally. If I've done something to hurt someone unintentionally, then I, apologize for that. And I say, that I will do better, that it was not intentional. But, to me, that is the difference when you can really change the vibe in a room or in a conversation. Just because somebody else is really angry, you don't have to get, that same way. You can be very composed and controlled like a thermostat and say, you know what? I hear you. Let's talk about this. I want us to get along. I want you to be happy. Tell me a little bit more so that we can work through this together. And when I take that approach, when I've taught people how to take that approach, it completely changes the whole dynamic of the conversation. And, sometimes, it's understanding that sometimes people get angry and they just need to, get angry and get it out of their system. And so, not to take it personally, but just, to acknowledge that, so that you can kind of move on from whatever that incident was.
I remember I was competing in a climbing competition, and then one person was not that good, but I've seen her climb really good before. So I went up, I said hi, and then I gave her some encouraging stuff. I cut some encouraging comments, and then boom, she went up to the top.
See, that's the thing. We never know what's going on in someone's mind or in their heart. And, when you have that, again, that's why I say it's our superpower. When you have the ability to recognize that in someone else, you can instantly change their day just by being kind to them or demonstrating that you care. She may have said, oh, I'm fine. And, don't bother me or whatever. But, at the end of the day, people want to feel as if they belong and they want to feel that they're cared for. And so I think that's awesome that you did that. And I hope that this conversation encourages more kids to be kind and to be curious and ask questions and, really help out their friends, because that's how we really get to enjoy life.
Like a difficult conversation before, like,
oh yeah,
where you had to like stay calm and kind, or
yes,
be the thermostat.
Yeah. So a big part of my job is when somebody here at the school feels that they weren't treated fairly or something happened, they will reach out to me to talk about it and to get my help in resolving the situation. And, sometimes those conversations can be pretty challenging to let somebody know, hey, you hurt this person's feelings, or you did this, and this is how this person is feeling. So I really believe in conversation. I believe that it's important to get, people in the room to be very clear about their feelings and, how they interpreted things. And then for everyone to then come to a solution together to kind of figure out, okay, so you were hurt by this and you were hurt by that. How do we solve that and then move forward? And that's really the approach that I take with all of the conversations that I have when people come to me, with a challenging issue or something that they're dealing with. I really try to focus on that person. And, sometimes people come to me and they're so upset that they can't even really think through what it is that they want. And so in those instances, I always have a box of tissues in my office, and, I'll tell people, this is a safe space and it's important for you to take care of your emotions and your mental health. And then, once you feel better about yourself, then we can tackle that problem. So, I always try to make sure that the person feels good first before we address, whatever those issues are. And I really believe that nobody wakes up in the morning wanting to hurt somebody else or wanting to do something bad or do something wrong. And so I want to believe that, everybody has good intentions and, we're all doing our best. And yeah, sometimes we make mistakes and we trip up, but, it's important for all of us to be supportive of people when they make mistakes. That just means that you're human. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It just means that you're trying. And, when you learn from your mistakes, that's the best. But as we know, if you don't learn from your mistakes, you continue making mistakes. So it's better to learn from them.
If you had to give advice to kids and teens like me about how to stay calm and kind during that kind of difficult conversation, what would it be?
So I really believe that it's important to be aware of how your body is feeling. If you're in a situation where it might get confrontational, for me, I've learned that the best thing for me to do if I'm feeling attacked or upset is to kind of walk away, to say, you know what, thank you for sharing that. I need to think about it. Let me get back to you. And then that way it gives me a chance to really think through what the other person said. It gives me a chance to think, why does this bother me so much? Is it really true, or are they wrong? Do I need to change something about myself? And then I'll go back to that person and say, hey, thanks for giving me, some time to think through this. This is how I feel this happened. And this is what, I want to apologize for this, or, let's talk about this a little bit more. I think that maybe we don't understand each other. So for me, what I find always works well is to just, rather than react in the moment, to just stay calm and give myself a little bit of grace to really, think through it so that I'm being thoughtful in the way that I respond. And, I said a word there that I think is really important, the word grace. When we, it's something that we need to give to ourselves and give to other people. And just understanding that, again, everybody's trying to do their best job. And, there's a lot going on, at work and in the world and in our personal lives. And so, it's important to recognize that if somebody's having a bad day, or if you pass someone in the hallway and they look really mean or upset, it's important to realize that, we have the power to kind of change that person's day, that we can be a good listener, a good friend, or if we don't know that person, we don't take it personally. We don't say, oh my gosh, that person is so mean, I don't like them. Maybe something happened that morning and that's why they're in a bad mood. So, it's always good to give other people grace, to give ourselves grace, to be kind, and just, assume that people are good, that, people want to be good.
So, out of my own curiosity, when you've had a tough day, what's your best way to unwind and relax and cope?
I have a dog, and his name is Boomer, and he's a brown fluffy dog. And when I get home after a difficult day, Boomer is right there at the door, so excited to see me. And spending some time with Boomer, I'll go into the backyard and throw the ball with him, or maybe we go for a walk. I find that spending some time with my dog helps me to realize what's really important in this world, and it makes me happy. So, I don't know if you have any pets or your listeners have pets, but pets can be pretty amazing at making you feel better when they, snuggle up with you and they, play with you. So that I would say is my way of dealing with a difficult day.
And do you have any suggestions for how people can unwind after a tough day, just relax?
There are a couple of things that you can do. I have one of my best friends. She loves exercising. And so after work, she'll go to the gym, and that's where she kind of, works it all out and works out a sweat and, feels better when she goes home. Sometimes talking with a good friend can be really helpful to just kind of process how the day went, or just to laugh. Speaking of laughing, watching a funny TV show, or, reading a book, things that really bring joy to your life. It's really important to make sure that you do that, because it kind of takes your mind off of some of the stress and the problems and, the things that may be kind of icky in your world. And it reminds you that, taking care of yourself, that's really important. Sometimes I'll even go crazy and do a huge bubble bath and just play some music and just kind of sit there, and that helps too. So, I think it's important for everyone to find their thing, whether it's, exercise or resting or talking with friends. But it is really, really important to have something to go to when you're not feeling that great, or you just kind of need some quiet time. And, some people even suggest that you have a list of 5 things, so that you don't get bored of doing the same thing over and over again, so that you can kind of switch it up depending on, if you like to go for walks and it's a rainy day, maybe on this day you're going to have a dance party in your house. Or, you can't get to a bubble bath, so instead you're just going to sit in silence and meditate for 10 minutes. So make sure, that would be my advice.
I find meditating really useful too.
Do you meditate every day?
Yeah. So at the end
for how long?
For just 2 to 3 minutes. I just
sit
there on my bed, and I do box breathing. You inhale.
Yep.
Hold.
Yep.
Exhale. Hold.
Exhale.
It's
hold. Yep.
It's for me, it's a really good way of relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
All the stress
Definitely.
from that day gone.
Yeah. It helps to regulate your whole parasympathetic nervous system. That's what it's called. It helps to regulate that. So another fun fact about me that's not in my bio is I am a yoga instructor. So I teach yoga, and that's how I've learned to meditate and also to use my body to kind of flow, get the energy to flow within my body and relax. So I'm all over the meditating. I'm so thrilled that you do that.
Meditating. So,
awesome.
Lastly, what are your insights on your career?
So the work in diversity, equity, and inclusion, that's kind of tough work. We have as a country, we've come really far in supporting diversity and creating spaces and opportunities for all people, but there's still work to be done. And, I'm sure you're familiar with different conflicts going on globally and wars, and even within our country, the election coming up, and, I'm sure you're watching a ton of commercials of people saying mean things to other people. My hope is that we continue being kind to one another, that we continue creating opportunities for everyone to feel as if they have a place in this world, to feel that they can contribute to our country and to the world and to their communities. And so for me, it's just continuously examining what's going on here specifically at GSE. It's talking with students, it's talking with our staff and our faculty to make sure that, we're not just moving along business as usual, but to make sure that, everyone has an opportunity to share what their experience has been. And if we can do better, then that's something that I want to advocate for. So it's ongoing work. And like I said, it's work that we're going to have to continue doing and prioritizing if we want to make sure that all people feel a sense of belonging in this world.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. Your insights were amazing. And I know our listeners learned a lot about how we can all make the world a more inclusive and kind place. I really appreciate you taking the time to join us on the Kindness Code.